I'm so nervous. Hey guys, welcome to the MiDia Network, our premiere show today. I'm so happy. I'm so proud that we're finally doing this. I am Robert Guerra. I am actually publisher of MiDia Magazine. We are a quarterly publication. In our fourth year, you're watching Vendor Spotlight with MiDia Magazine. And our first guest today is Abe Saldana with Spark Entertainment. We'll have applause. Hey Abe, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
All right, pull up that mic.
Pull the mic
And welcome.
fix it up. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very honored to be the first one on the first episode. I'm going to be el padrino of this podcast.
Okay, give my $5.
There you go.
Well, welcome, Abe.
Thank you.
Man, this has been in the works, hasn't it?
Yeah, I remember we talked about this like many times, before the expos, sometimes.
Yeah.
And all the times that I was here, like, asking you for, forgiveness and and about the magazine and the spots.
Well, you never invited me over for maneuver.
Oh my God, yeah, we need to do that.
That's why it's taking so long.
It's okay. Okay, not a problem.
Hey man, so when we first started the magazine, it was a little rough, man. Every time that we want to start a new venture, it gets a little crazy. So, tell me, how did you decide to come up with Spark Entertainment?
That was actually a nice idea that came up for, one of the time that I got invited to one of the parties. You're not going to believe this, and nobody will believe this, but I started as a comedian, okay? I was the drunk guy that is actually sit on a table and start actually, making jokes with everybody until I noticed that I had like around 20 people next to me on the same table, all for more than an hour, me asking and telling jokes and everything.
Okay.
I like to be the spot.
Yeah.
Well, but also I like the music.
Okay.
So, that's actually when I started. I started a long time ago in my initials with music and everything, but it was so difficult for me to start doing, DJing because it was like LPs. And I didn't have enough money to buy all those records and LPs. And then you move into CDs, which I saw more accurate because you have to know exactly at what point and what level.
Right.
Be able to
Yeah.
But after a while, I decided I'm going to do something that I really enjoy, and I enjoy the music, and I enjoy the spot, and I love to be in that, playing music and entertaining people, and that's how I started.
Okay.
Initially, we wanted to start like around 2017, but for one thing or the other, I was like with job and travel and
Right.
and that, it couldn't happen. So
Okay.
when I decided to finally do it, it was the pandemic.
Well, that's a great time.
Yeah. I had a lot of time to practice by myself.
A lot of time to plan.
Exactly. And the first thing that I planned is I want to buy my controller. So I decided to buy this Denon, 4, plaid.
Gotcha.
What beautiful.
Yeah.
That it never came because it was actually stuck in the middle of the ocean with all the delays and then the pandemic and everything else. So finally I got something.
Okay. And then you decided to get
I decided to go and do it for once and finally.
Jumped into the celebration industry.
Oh, of course.
All right. Hey, so what made you decide to add because you have a photo booth
Yes.
that you also offer, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, what made you decide to jump into that?
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do is actually we wanted to make sure that we grow organically. And when we say that is my wife and me decided that we're going to spend the money that we make and we're not going to spend any other money that we don't have. Like many other people that I know, tú sabes quién eres.
So, yeah.
They spend a lot of money before they actually have the business.
Well, you got to spend some money, man.
Of course, but
You
you have to be a salesman first.
Well-
You have to sell the pitch. You have to have the event,
Yeah.
and then you start buying all the equipment. Like for example, right now,
Oh, okay.
we're gonna get into another business, which is AB, audio and visuals. So
Okay.
now I'm probably gonna need to buy a huge screen and a lot of cameras and all other things
Okay.
like that. So that's another part. And that's how I started with the photo booth.
Okay.
The photo booth started like we wanted to expand and add more features that we can actually make as a package. We noticed that one of the things that everybody asks me is, don't tell me a la carte how much every single thing costs.
Yeah. Just give me
Tell
a
me a
package
bucket,
deal.
tell me
Yeah,
something that,
quick.
Something quick.
Yeah.
How much it's going to be?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the total. Here's all the things that I provide. And that's actually how the photo booth started.
All right.
We went and bought it as a hook, which is
Gotcha.
actually worked.
Does it work?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay, awesome.
We say you have the photo booth all night, except that there's no prints. It's all digital, and I can do the layout for your event with your presentation, and then.
So you make it tougher for the other photo booth companies.
Hey,
man.
actually,
Use me as a DJ. Use me as a DJ, and I'll throw in the photo booth.
Of course.
No.
The first time that I used that, it was actually not on a quinceañera. It was on a birthday, on a ranch. And I say, hey, it's gonna be $500, $600. I don't remember how much it was.
Yeah.
But I say, hey, it's gonna be this one. And the lady says, oh, that's
Gotcha.
too expensive. I say, oh, did you notice that I put in the photo booth? It's gonna be the whole night for you to take all the pictures you want.
Oh, she didn't notice.
Unlimited? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's great. Okay, yes, let's sign it.
Okay.
You did like that. So
All right.
they love it, and I've been using that since then. That's that's a trick that you can take.
So give us a little bit behind the scenes, man. Behind the DJ booth. Tell me what goes on at an event.
A lot of things, because we provide the photo booth. We have to set up the the images for the 3 images for the script, and then for the overlay,
Okay.
which is one of the big images, and then the video that actually is running all night, says press here.
Yeah.
That is also modified for the customer for the event. So
Okay.
that we have to create that before the event.
Yeah.
And then also, because we do the big screen on the front of the DJ, also we provide the presentation for that. So we build that. Then behind the scenes, as we always get extremely early to the event. Like if the event is at 6 o'clock, we get around 2 o'clock. Why? To set up everything, to make sure that we have all the sound, all the music.
So how much time do you think you put in before the actual event?
I don't know, probably like 30, 40 hours.
Before the event?
Yes. And that's because
On
I'm
top
trying-
of the.
on top of the event.
So what's the
Well,
average time?
I-
What's the average time for the event?
Like, says I'm exaggerating at this point.
Yeah, you are.
But yeah. I'm not
30,
going to
40
tell you all
hours.
my numbers, because all the DJs are going to say, oh, this guy's taking forever. No, it's because it's all by myself. There's only 3 people right now. Me, my wife, and my son. Sometimes
And I.
he's available, but sometimes he's not. So I have to be prepared to do everything by myself. So that's the reason why I spend so much time in advance. However, when we have people, I say I spend a lot less time. Now I'm involved in my daughter. She's actually helping her out with the designs for the photo booths and the presentation. I'm teaching her how to use the video editing tool. So she's learning that, and she's going to help me with that.
Nice.
So again, the success for this business is delegation.
So there's child labor laws, right?
Oh, she's 32.
Oh.
There's no child labor laws in there. And my son, he's 33, I think. So
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you had small
there's
children.
no child labor at this point.
Child slaves.
Yeah, no. I wish I could have one.
Oh
But
no!
that's bad. That's bad. Don't say that. Don't say that. Cut it.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that. Sure, I am. Hey, so
Cut Okay.
so
We're having so much.
what makes that everybody's a DJ,
Uh-huh.
everybody has a photo booth,
Uh-huh.
right? What makes you different from everybody else?
That is a good question. Ryan, one of the things that I have that I can tell you is, the last video that we just posted like 2 days ago is the testimonial for one quinceañera.
Yeah.
The best thing that they told me as a feedback is they asked me for so many things. And they asked me for all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I told you, the lady, she wanna do a karaoke song for her daughter, and she was perfect. She was like the most beautiful voice that I ever heard, and she did it perfectly. And then I actually set up the microphone for a singer, with the echo and the reverb and all that. She
Okay.
loved it. However, they say that you heard all our requests and you listened and you accommodate for our requests, and everything was beautiful and successful. So that's actually one of the things that we said, we pride on our service, trying to listen, trying to provide as much as, whatever they ask us. And then we also provide as much feedback from both sides. We can do this, you can tell us what do you want and everything else. So they love everything, even that the location. We brought 2 TVs so we can actually do the
Gotcha.
presentation. They loved that presentation so much that they
Okay.
said, hey, can you have another thumb drive? And I always carry 5 different thumb drives for the presentation. I give one and they put it on the projectors on displays. So
So,
they love it. So it was
Cool.
beautiful.
I was going to ask you to describe your setup, but you just did.
Yeah, the setup is
So you have LED screens.
yes.
Yeah. Now, do you have the large LED screen?
Oh
or
no
you
no
have-
no no no.
Okay.
No, that's where we're gonna get. At this
Okay.
point. Right now we have normal 65-inch TVs
Okay.
that we use. We have like around 3 or 4. We don't use all the 3 or 4. We use 1 or 2 at the most
Okay.
on an event. But we use the 3 or 4 when we do the expo. I don't know if you noticed that last time.
Yeah.
We had like 3 TVs with different videos.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We're actually showing a lot of the content that we provide.
So, what about your speaker system? Like, what is the maximum amount of people that you can serve that you can provide good sound for?
That is an interesting question. We pride on we don't pride. We provide service for small to medium-sized events, meaning from 50 to 200, 250 people on an event.
Okay, so about 300.
Yeah, by 300 at the
So you provide sound for a celebration that has about 300 guests.
yes.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, and that, one of the things that a lot of people, this is going more technical, a lot of people have big systems, inline arrays, and, all of this type of new technology. However, I consider that to be a beautiful setup when actually you're doing a mass big event.
Right.
It's actually outside or you have a lot of room to fit.
Yeah.
On my case, most of the event places that we have or that I have been is not that big, and then we have better good acoustics, so I don't have to
Did you-
use so much equipment to the venue.
Did you buy your sound system new?
Of course,
Okay.
all of them.
So about how old is your sound system?
Like we bought it on 2021,
Okay.
so it's pretty much new. Another thing that I do is actually every single piece of equipment that I buy a case.
Okay.
So lights are on a case with wheels, speakers on a case with wheels, the subwoofers have wheels.
Got you.
My controller, it's in a case with wheels. So,
Okay.
and that actually allows for protection.
What about you? Are you on wheels?
Yeah. Have you seen my truck? It's a big Sprinter.
Did you see them pushing around Abe?
Yeah.
He got wheels on his shoes. He just push it. Got to keep them new.
Yeah. No. My wife, because she's sometimes the one who helps me, is like, don't carry, put it on the ground, and we push it.
Oh,
That's it. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, what do you think people should ask a DJ?
Oh my God.
Yeah. What are some important questions they need to ask a DJ?
Number 1, are you the DJ, the MC, and the animator? That's a good question to ask.
Now, say that once more.
Are you the DJ, the MC, the master of ceremony, and the animator?
So, are you doing all three?
I'm doing all 3.
So you do all three.
Doing all 3 all the
Okay.
time. Sometimes, and this depends on the request from the people, is do you want me to do animation or do you just want me to do the MC? And they ask me,
So what do you mean animation?
Okay, the animation es el animador, el que pone todo el mundo a bailar y que con la mano para arriba, que pasito para la izquierda, pasito para la derecha, que les pone caballo dorado,
Okay.
all of that. That's animation.
So you just lost people that don't speak Spanish.
The animation is, to do line dancing.
Okay.
It's the one that tells you, hey, now go to left, now go to right, do all that.
That's the animator.
That's the animator.
That's not the MC.
The MC is the one that is actually brings the people in, cheers them up, and say, hey, now we're gonna let me introduce this person, and
Okay.
this is
They're the ones that are introducing the court
exactly.
of honor.
They're actually doing the formalities
Wow.
for the event,
Okay.
and that's a little bit of different. The voice of the tone and the
Yeah.
way they speak is completely different from
Okay.
the animation.
Got you.
Again, sometimes the DJs are afraid to be in front of the people.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I see that all the
They
time.
want to. They like to do the God mode
Oh,
behind the DJ. Okay, they don't want to be in front. On my
Abe's
case,
gonna-
I want to be in front. I want to be in the middle.
Abe's gonna make some new friends tonight.
Of course. Ya sabes quién eres.
No llores. Hey, man, so what's the wildest, most memorable event that you've done so far? Or have you had any wild events?
Wild events, no. I pretty much everybody. It's the past 3 events. There was like a lot of things going on. Number one, my controller stopped working in the middle. The nice thing is I had brought 2 controllers. I always brought 2 controllers. One that is a little controller that I use just in case. Mm-hmm. The second one is I was like doing some crazy stuff. I was trying to do video DJ. So I was playing with videos and I was trying to do DJ, and then the computer says it's too much.
Gotcha.
And it locked up. And that was actually the wildest thing. I have to switch on the other one right away and continue to do the music. The wildest that I see is like, people start coming and asking me for music that I'm actually going to put, and I had it already in place just to say
a request. Yeah.
So it was like, that was like the wildest that we're like in sync. They were right in my mind and things like that.
Okay. Speaking about song request, have you ever gotten a song request that is going to change the vibe of the room?
But of course.
All the time.
And this is something for the new DJs that they are there. There's actually an application that you can sign up for that. And you actually put a QR code, and the people can go to the QR code and then make the request, so they don't have to come to you. I have a sign in front of my DJ that says, "You want a request? Go click on here." And then I get the request on my phone, and if the request is good, I go to Spotify and play the request. And then I just
don't disturb the DJ. I'm in God mode.
Yeah, exactly. In God mode. And that's a lot easier, for me, because I don't have to get the distractions. And I told everybody, even my wife and my son, and say, hey, if somebody comes in, don't let him go to the threshold, and tell him, go there.
Don't step on the altar.
Exactly. Detrás de la raya chumina que estoy trabajando.
Oh my goodness. Hey man, so any like crazy, unexpected moments at a photo booth?
Photo booth.
Anything happen at a photo booth?
Yes. And this was actually, I was almost like freaking out. Kids, and this is for the parents, please take care of your kids. Because we don't, my wife and I, we're doing the coordination, we're doing the formalities.
You don't do babysitting. You don't do babysitting.
No, we don't do the babysitting on the photo booth. So we noticed that, when kids are like, hee hee hee, ha ha ha, hee hee hee, ha ha, that's something wrong. So she went and checked, and she says, come here, please. So I go check, and I leave up one of the playlists going on. I go check. They were putting 911 for the phone number.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were freaking out. I was
not
like,
cool.
Hell. And I was expecting the police to come in or do something or call me or
nothing.
No, thanks God, nothing happened. Only the security guard from the event comes in. Says, hey, what's going on? So I told them exactly what happened. But other than that, pretty much, the wild thing is, on la quinceañera casi se me cae. She almost fell on one of the expos with a big dress.
Oh my!
She was like trying to get in front of the photo booth, and she stepped on her dress, and then whoa! We have to catch her and catch the photo booth, and
we're not responsible.
No. Sorry, it was nothing with the cables, nothing on the floor. She only stepped on her dress, and that was the craziest thing that happened to us.
So let me ask you, man. So because you DJ different events, right? So how do you tailor the music, or is there a difference on how you tailor the music, say for a wedding compared to a quinceañera?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference?
And I can tell you, because we only manage most of the time. The court is quinceañeras and weddings, but we also do a lot of corporate and a lot of schools. And we're talking about elementary. We don't do high schools or things like that. I leave that for other DJs because I don't want to get into that genre. Yeah.
Situations.
Exactly. I think elementaries and middle school are more manageable, more tame, and sometimes they're crazy.
Oh yeah. So I've heard the music.
However, yes, we tailor the music depending on the event.
So you have,
if it's a quinceañera, we do a lot more tribal, more something like that. If it is a wedding, we do more cumbias and all these goodies.
One thing I noticed, man, is that there's times during a quinceañera that I'll hear music that I think is inappropriate, like the language, explicit type music.
That is something that we try and we provide beforehand and let them know to the parents of the quinceañeras or the wedding, people.
that
do not play any music with explicit English or Spanish. So please do not ask me for
Yeah.
Delicas. Please do not ask me for rap. Please do not.
no
ask
rap?
Me, no rap. Well, depends on
Dude,
the
I thought
depends on
you-
the band. On
What
the,
about you? I thought you rap.
I do rap sometimes, but or reggaeton. Reggaeton is
When
also
he's
another
taking a
one.
shower.
It depends. Yeah.
He raps when he takes a shower.
But on schools we do pretty much like kids music depending on the grade. So we do kids music. We do also EDM. Kids love EDM. I don't know for what reason, but Baby Shark is all.
Oh my goodness.
So
Okay. Hey man, I want to thank you
Thank you.
for coming to Vendor Spotlight, MiDia Magazine Network, and I'll invite you back again.
awesome.
Right?
I would
That's-
love to come in. This is our first show. I'm
Yes.
enjoying it,
Me too.
and on top of that, it's showtime.
Yeah. Abe Saldana with Spark Entertainment, Robert Guerra, publisher of MiDia Magazine, and Vendor Spotlight. See y'all soon.